Hello, my name is Danny Lamoureux. I'm Director of Club Development for Curling Canada, and welcome to a webinar and a series of webinars presented by our association and our 14 member associations. And for this interesting time that we live in as we try to return to play coming out of COVID-19. It's been a difficult 18 months, 16 to 18 months for everybody. Some clubs have been open with restrictions, other clubs weren't able to open at all. But it looks like we're going to be ready to start up again this fall. And Curling Canada has updated its return to play guidelines that were published this time last year for clubs to operate under COVID restrictions and whatever health authority delegated to them in their respective areas. So this is Return to Play 2021-2022, and the document is much the same as it was last year, and it's much different than it was last year in the fact that it's a two-piece document. The first part is, if local health authorities, and this is the prime directive for curling clubs, you must follow the direction of your local health authority, and any restrictions COVID-19 related that they impose on you need to be followed to a T. They are the people responsible for this, and if you want to operate for the season, you need to follow their guidelines. So if the local health authority says wide open, giddy up, go and start your curling and get people into your building, get your season open, then great. Away you go. It's business as usual, business as it was in 2019, 2020. Get your stuff in place and start recruiting your members, recruiting new members and inviting your current members back to join the club. The second part of the document highlights what to do if the local health authority says we are continuing to have COVID-19 related restrictions in our area, and you are subject to you have to follow those rules that we provide. So the document allows you to work through both of those options. So first thing you do is check with your local health jurisdiction and find out what the guidelines are, and stay connected with them. Even if it's just to bookmark their web page or sign up for their health alerts, whatever the case is, don't just contact them once and then say, okay, that's it, because as we know, everything during this COVID pandemic changed on often a daily basis, and some dramatic changes in some cases. So stay connected with your health authority responsible for your area so you can stay up to date with any restrictions. Just a couple of minor things that you should do, because a lot of clubs may have been closed entirely since March of 2020. And some maybe just for a few months, but I think it's critical that you contact your refrigeration contractor. Every club has somebody that looks after their plant or ice room. Get the refrigeration contractor to come in and make sure you start up the plant properly. We don't want you to just flip a switch after 18 months of inactivity. Make sure the plant and all your equipment are ready to have that switch flipped. And we do have another webinar as part of this series from Greg Owasco, our national ice technician, explaining those key pieces that you need to make sure your refrigeration mechanic says, yeah, they're good to go, to like turn the plant on. And there's certain rules in the food and beverage industry that have changed, mostly cleanliness things. Contact your local health inspector and find out what those are, so that you make sure that you follow those rules properly and that you're ready to open to their satisfaction. So you're ready to open. There's a couple of key things we want you to do. This is more marketing than anything, but use traditional or social media to let people know that you're opening, when you're opening, how you're opening, under what guidelines, etc. Reach out to your regular customers and let them know that you're opening up, and here's what we're doing for cleanliness. Here's what we're doing to make sure that we keep you safe when you come into your club. Make sure your website is up to date, etc. So get out there and let people know, hey, we're back in business. The XYZ Curling Club is going to open on September 15th. We have our Curling 101 on September 16th, and we welcome everybody to join us in this great winter sport at our great club. Again, create a template plan of what you're going to do to reopen. You know your customers that were members when we shut down will likely come back for the most part. You know who those people are, but we're likely going to lose a few people just because there might be some reluctance to go inside while COVID is still somewhat in our daily lives. So you need to recruit some new customers. So establish your curling 101 days or your try curling days. Market to the local community, get them out for those sessions, and then get them into your Adult Learn to Curl League. So that's the business as usual part of it, but you're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive to replace that what we believe is a small percentage of members that we might lose just because of the fear of going back inside. Out of COVID came some good things. Curling clubs worked very hard at keeping themselves clean, keeping the club clean, keeping the club set up to the satisfaction of local health authorities. I don't see any reason why we need to go back to the old ways of doing things. COVID taught us that things need to be clean. Let's keep it up even after COVID disappears. So continue to be diligent with your cleaning protocols into the club. Have a big heavy-duty clean before the start of the season, as you should do anyways, but you got to make sure you do it this time. And please let your members know that you've undertaken a huge heavy-duty cleaning of every part of the club so that people are safe and happy. I would continue to have hand sanitizer stations. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not expensive. You can have hand sanitizers in the locker rooms, at the bar area, at the front door, going onto the ice. Sanitize the curling stones. It's something that was rarely done in the past. Continue to do that. It may be once a week, it may be once every 3 days, it may be every day if you have the staff. Clean your handles off. Not only will it prevent potential COVID-19 outbreaks, because that was the intention of it, but it's going to prevent in the future the passing of flu viruses and other common cold issues that may not happen if we do this. And it's a good thing to keep sanitizing the stones. And in your bar area, we make sure that your staff or the volunteers or whoever it is that looks after your lounge area clean off the tables after every use, sanitize the tables. And continue to do that well after COVID disappears. It's a good thing. One of the more complicated pieces was waivers. Curling clubs in Canada started asking members to use waivers maybe 6 or 7 years ago. It wasn't easy, which we've never had to before. Our members are loyal and trustworthy, and how dare they think that they're going to sue us? It was never going to happen. But the world has changed dramatically, and COVID came along and forced all of us to sign waivers. And we're going to ask you that you seriously consider keeping that going this year. Have the 3 waivers available. So the first waiver is waiver of liability for people of the age of majority. The second waiver is assumption of risk. So it's for youth under the age of majority, to understand as parents what the risks are for your kids, and get that waiver signed. And the third one is the declaration of COVID compliance. Again, the COVID seems to be receding. But our lawyers and our advisors think it's a terrific idea to, at least for 1 more year, get the COVID compliance form signed by everybody that comes into your building. As part of this document, and this document will be available on the website that you can download, the waivers, the 3 waivers are attached at the end of the document, and they're available both English and French. The lawyers say that, because we often get the question is, how long do we have to keep the copy of these waivers? At least 2 years, preferably indefinitely. So if you can find a way to scan and store them somewhere electronically that they're very safe, we highly recommend that you do that and keep those files for at least 2 years, but preferably as long as you can. Insurance, everybody's read about it in the paper. You're all familiar with it. You've probably already seen the premiums at the club. Insurance premiums have gone up, and curling clubs aren't exempt from those premium increases. I'm not sure that there's a ton that you can do out there to reduce your coverage, to reduce your premium. It would mean reducing coverages, and I don't think that's an optimum solution. What we're suggesting is please contact your specific broker who manages your account and have that conversation with them. What's gone up? How much has gone up? Have any coverages changed? Is there anything we can do to adjust our coverages? But stay on top of this. It's a critical expense that's going to go up, and it's a significant expense in a lot of curling club operations. You need to know how much it's going to go up, and you need to charge extra on your membership fees to adjust to the new premiums. There's been a few things in curling clubs that we've seen people try and charge for COVID. The extra charges to manage COVID, like all the sanitizing equipment and stuff. It's really frowned upon in society to add COVID-19 surcharges to anything that you do. It's very simple to just build it into your price and don't say anything about it. There's going to be expenses for covering COVID. People know that, but it's frowned upon to have a COVID-specific surcharge after the fact. It's frowned upon by governments, and it's frowned upon by customers. Just raise your fees if you need to appropriately. The customers will understand the reason why that's happened. The second part is, away you go. You're keeping your club clean, you've opened the doors, leagues are back to normal, you're doing your new marketing plans, but all of a sudden the local health with jurisdiction in your area says, whoa, we have new restrictions, COVID-19 restrictions. There's been a surge in cases and we're going into partial lockdown, whatever the case may be. Here are the new rules. Well, we said it earlier, follow those rules diligently. Do not argue with the local health people. Follow their rules as they mandated to stay so you have the ability to keep curling under partial lockdown conditions. So the second part of the document reflects the guidelines from last year. It talks about traffic patterns on the ice. There's video to show how you stay 6 feet apart. You probably have to implement masking again. You probably have to have 4 people at a table of 8 instead of 8. Trying to avoid congregation between draws. You don't want 2 full draws of people in your lounge before just coming off the ice and just going off the ice. Separate them slightly, 10 or 15 minutes, so that that doesn't happen. There's a whole pile of stuff in the guidelines that were built last year that will stay applicable to this year. So we would recommend each club in Canada probably curated a COVID-19 committee to decide what had to be done based on local health guidelines. Resurrect that committee, get them back in place. It could be the same people, it could be new people, but you're going to need people that are going to focus specifically on making sure that you follow COVID-19 restrictions if implemented between now and the end of next curling season. The second piece that I'm not going to offer an opinion at this point. We're going to create a separate webinar on vaccinations, and do we allow non-vaccinated people into the curling club under conditions, etc. We're going to produce a legal opinion for you to follow or not follow. It'll be entirely up to your curling board of directors to decide what rules that will be in place for fully vaccinated versus non-vaccinated Canadians who want to curl. So you'll see that webinar on vaccinations will be separate from this one, obviously. So for all of those that managed to get through the hell of this last 18 months, thank you very much for what you do for the sport of curling. I know a number of clubs in Atlantic Canada especially stayed open the entire time, and people enjoyed the sport of curling, but in the rest of the country, most clubs were closed for most of the time. So thank you for hanging tough. Thank you for keeping your clubs afloat. Thank you for being invigorated to open up again this season. And we want you to share your experiences. So when you reopen, when you send out your marketing plans for Curling 101 days or Try Curling days, anything wow that happens at your particular curling rink, get it posted on Facebook or send it to me at returntoplay@curling.ca, and we'll post it up on Facebook. We want to hear terrific stories. We want to be inspired by all the Canadian, over 900 plus curling clubs in Canada reopening this fall. Thank you.